going on. So let's get started onto here. Our agenda today is going to be the initial setup and syncing process. We will also be going over the overview, staying in the flow, your sphere of influence, and staying top of mind. My screen is up top, so that's why I'm going to keep looking. But first off, we're going to start off with the initial setup syncing. So remember, MoxiEngage is your CRM. It is your contact record management. It is where you will be able to upload all your contacts, being able to reach out to them, send out listing alerts, and getting that all situated. But one of the great things about Engage is that it's actually connected to your personal Outlook or Gmail account. InTouch did not have that capability. You had to get your own CRM email through that. So within Engage, it will have a process of you connecting your email for it to be able to be accessible. So the initial setup, it will request you to connect your email address. So you'll find out about pop-up will come up and say either you're going to select your Outlook or your Gmail account. If you do have an Outlook, a personal domain Outlook, then it will have a lag to it. So there's going to be an additional process. So let's say if you have it Genevieve@genevieve.com email address, then I will have to do a little process on that. But once your Outlook is connected, then you'll be able to process through. If you don't use Outlook, of course, you have your Gmail option available. So once it's connected, it's obviously going to ask you to sign in for it. If it's your Gmail, your Outlook, it's automatically connected on the back end if you're going to use that option. So you're going to give the MoxiEngage access to your product. That way, all your contacts will be able to communicate within each other through Engage and through your email service. It will take up to 15 minutes. I would give it a little bit longer. It says 15, but it's going to connect to your contacts through Outlook or Gmail. So anyone that you've emailed within that basis will start adding up onto your Engage. So let's say you didn't have a lot of contacts in InTouch or in Engage, but you've been communicating on a regular basis through email, those contacts will transfer over to your Engage. If by any chance you do have them in InTouch as well, they might show up double, but this is a good opportunity to kind of just go in to really be sure who you have on there and everything's organized the way you want it. So after we have the syncing process, the next window is going to have you set up your GCI goal, and that is your gross commission income for the whole year. Usually you meet with your office manager at your office at the beginning of the year to set up your goal for the rest of the year. One of the great things about this is that your office manager has access to it. So if you ever want to communicate with them and seeing what initiatives you can do to get the next listing or get a good prospect, you could connect with your manager and your details would go on it. It also keeps track of your active transactions. So if you have your transactions on there, it will also keep track of your GCI based on your goal and what is actually your GCI. So it's a good tool, and it's going to be really interesting and nice to have all of that front and center. You're not going to have to go research a lot of this stuff. It's going to be right at your fingertips to see exactly how you're crushing your goal of that year. So those are going to be the two windows that are going to pop up: your initial email connection, syncing process, and then your GCI goal. Once those two, you've selected your options, the next thing is going to be the contact syncing or the migration from InTouch. So there's different options. You could do the InTouch export. So that's going to be the manually, if you've exported a list from InTouch and then you cleaned it up and now you just want to import it to Engage, that is possible. Engage also will be able to create your groups onto there. The groups will be put together. They might have a different name on there when transferred over to Engage. So we will have to go just to reference those to make sure that they're established correctly. Sometimes the numbers might be a little confusing. InTouch doesn't have an accurate number count for emails. So if, let's say, we have 59 contacts in one group in InTouch, we shouldn't really expect 59 contacts in MoxiEngage. It might be vetting through some emails that are not active, or they don't have a functioning email anymore. So it scrubs those off. It might have a duplicate that might get duplicated or removed as well. So like any technology, there's glitches that happen. But this is a good opportunity for you really to take some time, invest it in your business, and actually know who your contacts are, who your people are, and how you're going to connect with them. When was the last time you reached out? So you could start utilizing the program and learning how to use the program as you also venture through your contacts. So this is a good opportunity. Your contacts are now my people. So that's going to be a little verbiage change on that. So you'll be hearing me say my people, your people, our people a lot, but that's just a new way to get to those sections. So after we've done all of the heavy lifting, or right after we've done it, we could do the data migration. It's a one-time thing. It will be a one-time pop-up that will give you the yes option. You could always go ahead and skip it for your next time. So if you're not ready to do that migration, but you know, we are cutting it close to that 30th date. So I recommend just hitting the migration button, depending on how many contacts you have or how busy the server is. I know everyone right now is rushing to Engage, so it might take a little longer than normal on getting the migration set up or having those contacts organized how you want them, because everyone's jumping on right now, and Moxie is getting a lot of traffic onto there. And you know, those websites get a little too overwhelmed, but it's just patience with those programs in the meantime. What is MoxiEngage? I give you a quick little overview about it. It's Engage settings, so how to navigate what each of those sections actually means. And then the agent dashboard, which is going to be your home page now, where you'll be able to see all of the different sections that Engage has. So MoxiEngage is your CRM tool, your contact record management. It's for all the real estates and to keep track of your sphere of influence. So this is going to help you manage your contacts, start emailing marketing initiatives. It is connected to your MLS. So you'll be able to showcase your listings, your sales, and also create those listing alerts and neighborhood news for your sphere. You'll be able to keep track of your GCI score, goals, and getting all of that put together, your tasks. So because it is connected to your calendar, either Outlook or Gmail, it will be able to keep track of your task recommendations, keep you on check, kind of having that virtual assistant that we all wish we had. So obviously within those sections, we want to be able to kind of have control over those settings. So there's always going to be that gear. It's going to be on the top right. You'll see a gear all the time. And that's going to be where you'll be able to edit those sections. So within those sections on the top gear, you'll be able to see people. So how you're going to manage your leads, your task manager, and your groups. Those are the settings for that. Your calendar, specific dates, and how you like it organized. your notifications. So obviously what email you want your notifications to be coming from and how you're going to check on them and getting those notifications going. Your subscriptions. So like I mentioned, there's a neighborhood news where it's the community news. So it's a monthly newsletter that will be sent out to your buyers or sellers or everyone in between. And then your listing announcements, which are your personal listings that have recently gone active or your recent sales that you want to showcase to your sphere. So that's going to be an option, but these are the settings and features that you'll be able to edit. So now the dashboard. The dashboard is that home section that you will get to the moment you hit on engage after the syncing process. And it will have the header. So normally, like any website usually has the table, the dashboard on the top side. So that's where you're going to be able to navigate through the different pages. So you have dashboard, people, calendar, goals, and campaigns. So that's always going to be your main sections. Dashboard is your home, and you're going to be able to manage your widgets through there. People is going to be your contacts. So you'll see my people. That's where you're going to be able to add contacts and import list. Your calendar is going to be synced up. So all of your Sales Pro classes, your closing appointments, all of that you add onto your Outlook email will also populate to Engage. You'll be able to set up dates on there as well. So it's going to be a good tool for you to use actively. It will keep you on check on those items. Your goals, that's where you're going to be able to access your goals, your campaigns. So those all are the marketing center where InTouch used to have. Those are going to be your buyer campaigns, your seller campaigns, your revitalized campaigns. Those are all going to be a part of the campaign section. So the dashboard, let's review that. This is, like I mentioned, your homepage. You're going to be able to stay in flow. You'll be able to review your activities. So who has opened your emails, when it's sent out, any of that, like when they have clicked it, if a campaign has just recently been activated, if someone unsubscribed, that's going to be all under your activity section. Your to-do list and calendar are also connected. So these sections are similar like desk. You could organize them how you want. So they're all drag and drop, and it will organize the dashboard tiles. So that way it's going to be based on what your likes and what's more important to you. If you want to keep track of your GCI up top, so you could go ahead and move that up. And like I mentioned, there's going to be gears all over those sections. So that's where you're going to be able to edit what you want to be showcased front and center for you. And so along the dashboard, all of these little sections, I'll let you know exactly what they mean, even though I'm going to be repeating myself. So stay in the flow. Stay in the flow is that top main section that will populate 5 contacts a day. So I know a lot of you are part of your AMP classes, boot camps, and all of that. And their goal is always to reach out to a number of clients a day. Engage will actually auto-populate 5 contacts that you haven't reached out in either 90, 60, or 30 days. So it's going to be front and center. Going to help you always stay top of mind with your clients. Your activity feed, like I mentioned, that's going to be where all of the fun stuff is happening, all the activity, and you're going to be able to keep track of dates and times that everything got sent out. Your to-do list, make yourself some list and checking yourself on that. You'll feel very accomplished each time you close off a checklist or to-do list. So use that. Keep yourself having that virtual assistant alongside with your calendar. It'll help you keep track of that as well. Sales flow. So it's when you're on a transaction and you register it in your Engage, and it will start following that particular contact through its transaction period. So it'll really help you stay organized when you have 5 clients and you forget that you have a couple Joes. But with this, it'll be able to organize them and let you know which section each client is at. your goals. We really want to make sure that you are accomplishing everything that you set yourself up to and even crushing those goals. So we've helped you being able to have that front and center and accessible for you, because it is your business and you want to achieve everything that you can with your own personal business and growth. And your listings, when you have any active listings or recent sales, they will be auto-populated on that because it is integrated with your MLS. So the stay in the flow, how can we use that section, that top 5 contacts? So this is going to kind of help you stay in the flow for your sales flow section. Utilizing these sections, so it gives you the option to always mark a contact and add them to a transaction, add them to a marketing plan. If we don't use those features, it's not really going to help us navigate through it. So I really, really recommend playing around with it, setting yourself up as a contact, setting myself, your SSAs, your office manager, your as a contact, and set them up as a client and see what path that client could go through. And it'll keep track of that. So let's say you have a couple people in your sphere, they're kind of browsing, not really, haven't been pre-approved or anything like that. You'll keep them in the marketing zone. You'll still send stuff out. Once they've gotten pre-approved, then you want to put them in the prospecting zone. They kind of started actively searching and have done that paperwork. But once they're active, they've been looking, their buyers or their homes are selling faster than they could actually go view them. This is where you're going to want to put them in the active zone, making sure that you're checking out all the properties, reaching out to them if their property needs have changed. And that's going to be where we want to have your contacts there. And then, of course, the pending zone. Once you're ready to close that transaction, it'll let you know how many people you have on there. That way you could get your closing gifts ready, getting all those gifts and excitements put together for your clients. And so it's going to make it a lot easier for you to navigate through that. So like I was mentioning, that's how the process you could do. Each client, each contact can go through that process. So you'll be able to mark them as a prospect, and then they'll go to the prospecting zones, and then they'll just move actively on there. So without our interactions with the program, it won't keep track of that. So it's going to be a good partnership with us and MoxiEngage. That way it'll keep track and it'll help us stay active without having that personal assistant, and all within one program, one tile on desk. So what's another way? You already know how to keep track of your transactions, your prospects, but what about everyone in between? So that's going to be your daily outreach, stay in the flow. It's going to help you stay connected with your 5 contacts a day that you haven't reached out in either 90, 60, or 30 days. So it will auto-populate 5 contacts. It'll let you know exactly what options or what type of flow they're in. And it'll also have a little button. If you click on reach out, it'll give you options on how you can contact them. So if you have an email, obviously an email window will pop up. Phone number will give you the option to call them. Let's say you don't want to actively or cold call them. You could set them up for neighborhood news or a campaign. Other sections that you can do is, let's say, Susan, my mom, I really don't need to keep her that active. I could just skip or mark her as done, and that way she won't pop up again. And then these are other notes that you'll be able to find to be able to reach out to those particular contacts. But let's say we want to make sure we kind of edit and prevent personal contacts to reach out to us. We'll go ahead and click on that gear. That gear will guide us through and select exactly how often we want to reach out to them. Let's say right now, because we're doing all the heavy cleaning, we want to reach out to them every 30 days to make sure everyone gets a touch point. And then later on, we'll move it over to 90 because you've already done the heavy work. And here you're going to be able to select exactly the people that will populate. So you don't want your personal and your collaborators. That could be your handyman that you always have for your properties. It could be your title officer, anyone like that. You're not going to be selling stuff, but you still need their email. You'll add them as a collaborator. And that's going to help you navigate what pops up on your dashboard. So how are we going to keep up with your sphere? So that's going to be your people, my people. So that's how we're going to be able to see your contacts. It's going to be people. And right under the people section, you'll be able to either import a full CSV file through the little gear on the top right, or you could add a contact individually with the blue add people, and it'll pull up a contact page, and you'll be able to auto-populate all the other stuff. You'll be able to organize your contacts and filters just like through InTouch when we were finding out how many contacts and listing alerts you have. You'll have that section as well. And then you'll also be able to sort them by first name, last name, everything in between, order date, enter date, the soonest you've entered them, the oldest contacts you have in there. So it'll help you manage all of that, organize them how you want. Your groups, you'll be able to edit those groups, delete groups, and make sure you add contacts onto there. So one of the things about your contacts, you're going to click on that one individual person. So let's say we're going to click on Shelly over here. And so once we click on them, Amy popped up, but that's just because I didn't take the correct picture. So you'll click on the contact. Their contact page will pop up. We haven't organized her in a flow. So this is how we're going to know that we haven't categorized Amy in a section. And it'll give us right now nice visible tiles to click. Client, non-client. You'll be able to put as much information as possible. If you did do the migration from InTouch to MoxiEngage, your notes should pop up under your activity. So once the migration has processed and you want to feed reference your notes, they're going to be under the activity section. But if you're manually entering your contact and you enter a note, they will pop up under notes. So that's going to be one little difference when you do the migration. And of course, you'll be able to add them into their groups, create subscriptions, create faves and saves, which are the listing alerts for that, all within My People. And let's say you import all your contacts and they're not categorized. You'll be able to see under filters how many contacts you don't have under a category. And right now, because if we imported stuff from InTouch or we just imported a list, they won't be categorized. It probably isn't going to know if it's a client or a non-client. So how are we going to do that in an easier way? There's a categorized wizard under My People, and it will auto-populate your contacts that don't have a category, and it'll create little boxes, and it will easily let you control the flow of each of those contacts. So it'll pop up those contacts onto there. You'll be able to click on Brianna, and she is a past and current client. So if we click on this section right here, we click on client. These are the options that will pop up. We'll be able to create a marketing plan. So that's going to be either subtle campaigns, or we want to actively mark them as a seller prospect. Then we'll be able to now guide them through the seller transaction or make it a buyer prospect. And then we'll be able to start setting them up to listing alerts, which are faves and saves this time around. But let's say they're a potential client, so they're just a non-client. These are the options that will populate. You could do a personal or collaborator. They'll stay in your contacts, but they'll be subtly touched. You won't be sending a lot of stuff out there. But you could remove them. let's say you put them in that categorized wizard and you're like, oh my God, who is Dexter? I don't know who he is. It must have been some random emo person that you contacted. Then you could go ahead and remove them straight from there. Because it is connected to your calendar, you'll be able to have a lot more tasks and special dates on there. So when you edit a person or a contact, you have options to add as much information as possible, which includes dates, birthday, anniversary, house anniversary, and then custom options. You'll be able to add those and it will auto-populate on your calendar. So let's say you don't want to forget your first home buyer's first home anniversary. You'll put it on your calendar and then you can do the shout outs on social media, or you can reach out personally to them and give them a nice gift and have that relationship build. And when that buyer has a friend or family member, they'll say that you are amazing and remember them after the event closing. So this is going to be able to help you connect with your sphere and still be top of mind with them as well. And staying top of mind is what we always want to do to make sure that they always think of you as that expert in the community. So how we're going to showcase we're the expert, we'll be able to do neighborhood news, listing announcements, and then set up some campaigns onto there. And right now, when you click on that person, that contact's name, right on the bottom, you'll see subscriptions, and you'll be able to set them up for neighborhood news or a listing alert. Your neighborhood news, you'll be able to add them individually, one person at a time, or you could do multiple setups. So this is one of the reasons why it's important to utilize the group section and to know exactly what groups are where, what group, what area they're in. That way you could create neighborhood news easy. Each contact could belong to multiple groups as well. So you put them in my group, and then you'll be able to add to and create a mass neighborhood news instead of creating those personal ones. Neighborhood news gives you two options to select. You could either do it by one zip code, or you could draw the neighborhood like in Moxie Presents. So if you do the quick, by entering a zip code, a window will pop up and just have a little personal message that you could edit once you send it out. The custom, that's where you're going to be able to do draw and pick exactly which properties or what statuses they like. So let's say they only want a particular bed square footage, better baths, price range. You'll be able to select that through the filters. And if this looks familiar, it's because it's the same functionality as Moxie Present. So Moxie Presents also gives you a little bit of limited reach for that zip code. So it's always going to give us that multi-draw tool. So the neighborhood news, once you have it set up, it'll also give you a little recap of how it will look like. So this is the email they will receive. They will make sure to hit view full report. And like I mentioned, under the activity feed, that's where you're going to be able to find out if your contacts have opened it or clicked through it. This is what they'll be able to find. It will migrate them. It will forward them over to your personal Moxie website. So that's going to help create that connection, create that flow from an email to your website, which we want to help your search engine optimization, your SEOs, to make sure we get that website going higher on that Google range. So that's what I love, that it's always going to be pointing back to your website. And that's our goal. Have them go back to your website where you're going to be able to gather the lead and have that connection with them. So this is a good thing that will send you straight to you. And it's going to be a little bit more personal, animated. I know Prospect Square has a monthly market report that you can still set up. So this is another option, which is a little bit more visual, and it has a landing page on your website. It will also have trends of the market within the past month and then the past year to see how that has shifted. Also, if they go onto your personal Moxie website, they'll have a tab where where anyone that visits your site could sign up for a market neighborhood news. And you'll recreate that lead. You'll be able to get that text message or phone call letting you know someone was on your site entering their contacts. Listing announcements is going to be your just listed, just sold. So you'll be able to add them onto that, and it automatically will let them know that you have an active transaction going on. Like I mentioned, it's also you could do it with an individual person, or you can do a whole group. So this is going to be when you enter your email mailing list on there, then you'll be able to set up that all the agents on that area are going to receive your just listed announcements. Campaigns, it's all going to be like in that dashboard section. You'll be able to go and find all of the email newsletters that are available. They're all going to be in the library, and you'll be able to kind of search up different topics, revitalize buyers, sellers, any prospects. You'll be able to pinpoint them, and it'll let you know exactly the dates that it's going to be sent out. So this particular campaign has quite a few of emails that are going to send out, so it lets you know exactly the date, so you know, so you're not blindsided on that. You'll be also able to edit the schedule, whatever makes sense for you and your clients, and that way they're not bombarded all having 5 emails sent out around the same date. You could change that. That way you're reaching out to them at least once a week or once every other month on that part. You'll be able to add individual people or groups onto that, just like in InTouch, it gave you that control. And I know that was a lot. That was just a quick run through on the back end. Let me show you what it will look like. So this is the magical dashboard that has now, once we've done all the migration, everything has happened. This is how it's going to look like. Oop. It's going to have your top 5. Your top 5 clients that you haven't reached out to them in a while. You could skip and you can mark done. You could reach out and it'll give you that personal information. So you could even do a mailing, send them a handwritten letter, or set them up for a quick or custom newsletter on that. Let's say we care about our goals. We want to put that up top, and that's going to migrate it up for you. But we're going to put that down because we want to always make sure that we're staying in the flow. And this is the activity feed. She has sent me a listing faves and saves email, and I opened it up. So that's how you're going to be able to know exactly the excitement that's happening. And if you go to people, you'll be able to see your overview of your people onto there. And just like Moxie Present, where we're doing our CMAs, and the process takes a little long because there's a lot of great graphics on the back end, a lot of moving parts. The page do tend to load a little slower than normal, so we like to have a little patience with the program. Onto there. Especially since everyone is going on Engage right now. All the traffic is happening in Engage, so we might have a little bit of traffic jams here and there, but they're actively working on it on the back end. So let's say if you ever get stuck on something, they have this help section right here. You click on it and a chat support will come up. That is what I use. That's what all the staff uses when we encounter an issue with Moxie. They are our go-to people, so you have access to them as well. So if something doesn't look good or you're experiencing an issue with your contacts, use that chat and they'll be able to reach out to you. But we have to, a lot of tickets are being submitted because, like I mentioned, everyone is joining the program right now. So we might take a little longer than normal, but that's who's going to be able to assist you. Of course, myself and Katie and your amazing SSA Ilse over in Carmel. So we're going to be able to assist you in either way in either of those regions. So let's say we have a contact. I'm going to pull up myself because I've added her. So you'll be able to auto-populate contacts onto there. So if you're searching for someone, you don't want to scroll through them, you'll be able to just find that contact. Unlike InTouch, it will automatically tell you how many contacts you have right up top without you having to go around, fiddle, and click stuff around. Filters. This is what it will locate. So your groups are based off either imported or if you've already organized them, and these are action needed. So that means we need to work on these. They have missing phone numbers. So this is another way we could reach out to them and say, hey, I'm updating my database. I don't have your phone number. Would you like to give that to me? Email addresses, which are really important. So that's why some numbers won't match. It's because they might not have an email on there or an inactive email. Your clients are going to be over here. So if that's how you organized your clients, they will populate on your left-hand side. Your non-clients, so if you have anyone assigned as a collaborator or a personal contact, will populate onto there. And then you'll hit apply, and those options have been selected. You edit groups. You'll be able to create new groups, create and delete them onto that. This is the Categorized Wizard, where you'll be able to populate all of your contacts that don't have a category and just start pushing them through the flow. And it will go ahead and start populating them, and you could just start clicking and let you know exactly when you added that contact, in case you forgot what part, if that was part of a migration or a manual import onto that. But I know everyone wants to know how to set up a listing alert. It was glitched out a couple of days ago. We just got notification last night that it got fixed. So let's look. Oh no. No, it did pull up my name. All right. So let's say I'm going to put myself through a flow for Annie, and then I'll delete myself. I'm a client. I could be I want to create a marketing plan, and I'm going to be a past buyer. And so now it has me selected as a past seller and buyer. I'm going to create a plan. And then now it's going to create a plan for me, how I'm going to be able to check onto that particular client. Keep me on check. That way it'll create the task for me, and all I have to do is go to Engage once a week, every day, and see, okay, what's my next step? June 27th is I'm going to make that phone call, have warm contact. But then after that, I'll give her a couple of days, give myself a couple of days, and then set her up on a newsletter, a neighborhood news subscription. Give her a couple of days or the same day, do the monthly newsletter, and then a couple of days in, check in. So this is really going to help you have that personal assistant all on one program and help you stay organized with each of those contacts. But let's say I want to create a listing alert. Those are now called faves and saves. So saves are the listing alerts. Faves are if I or your clients go in and click the properties that they like, you will know what they want. So you'll click faves and saves. And if you already have one pre-created, like we do, it'll pop up here, but you'll be able to create a saved search. And it's going to look exactly like Moxie Present. So it's something we're already familiar with. We will be able to change the location and change the radius, price range. So everything that has to do with the listing alert on there, you will start being able to set those up. Obviously, you don't want to, depending on your client, let's say we want to do multiple onto there, a radius, we could go ahead and just do here and then drag how far if we want to do the radius. But obviously there aren't any listings right now. Or we could draw, multi-quick draw. They did now add that you could create multiple listing searches as well. So it's not just tied it down to one search. You'll be able to set those up. You'll be able to view exactly what your client is receiving on your personal site. That way you know what dashboard they're looking at. And see exactly. So let's say she sent me this. This is the email that I received. If I click on a property, it will pull up the properties information, but the moment I start scrolling down, your contact card will populate onto the page. Front and center, the only way they're going to be able to reach out is going to be you. So that's going to be one of the great things about always pointing it to your website. We want to create that search engine optimization and getting that traffic going. So this is one of the benefits of using the program. So once you have that, you'll be able to keep track. But let's say we want to create one. I didn't finalize the one we were working on. So I'm just going to leave it like that, email and settings. So I'll be able to come in here and personalize it. Or dream homes. Whatever will help your client open the email and know this is personalized. This is exactly for me. They took their time to create this for you. You'll be able to go in and create that personal message as well. It'll help your email not go to bulk or your junk mail. And also just create that personal touch. You'll be able to give them how often the newsletter gets sent out. So that way they'll be as actively informed as they want. Let's say there aren't any active new listings that day or within that time period. Since I know those are slowing down, we want to make sure we send them an email instead of saying, hey, nothing, letting them simmer and say, did they forget about me? Did I get dropped off? That way they'll know that something's going on. You'll be able to hit save and send, and then it will automatically go out and you'll be able to, okay, we set them up for a listing alert. It will automatically give you the option to sign them up to that neighborhood news. That way you're not duplicating stuff. You could automatically just click on it, or you could skip it and save that for the next point of contact. So we're just going to go ahead and subscribe. Now I have two listing searches onto there, and they will populate. My neighborhood news will populate in a second, since it will take a little bit sooner, a little bit longer for it to upload. But that's how you're going to be able to do those listing searches, those faves and saves. So like I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of verbiage switch that we have to do, a lot of adaptations. But like I mentioned, under activities, you'll be able to see exactly how often you've been reaching out to them and if they clicked and viewed the full report and all of the additional details onto that. If you have notes, which are usually really important, you met them in an open house, they had kids with them, so they most likely want to have multiple bedrooms or details like that. That's always going to be important and make it more personal onto that. You'll be able to edit the notes. Also, it'll let you know where this contact came from. So this was synced with your email. So that means my contact was in their Outlook, which then connected to Engage. Now it's there. So let's say you see duplicates and you want to know why those happen, you could go in and double check and see where they got pulled onto that. So let's say right now the emails for the listing alerts, you're not receiving a copy of them. We are working on getting that situated so you could receive a copy just like through InTouch. We do have the feedback button on desk. I use it all the time. All of the agents use that feedback button. So if you see a feature onto there that you think doesn't make sense or you want something else added onto it, please visit that that feedback button onto desk. So it's usually right on the little question mark, leave desk feedback. They really do use this. If you don't have any feedback, you could go in there and read other people's feedback. As you can tell, it's loading. So Moxie is one of those things right now that we're talking about. So we have a lot of those options and you'll be able to see if someone has upvoted it or if they have any comments alongside of that. So use this. This is for you. This is how they're going to be able to do updates for yourself in the future or stop making updates if they're a little bit too much voice it, and you'll be able to see how many people are upvoting it. The more upvotes, then the faster they'll get onto it. So review that as well. It's a good option that they've given us. That is all through the feedback button on desk. So use those tools, use them in connection within each other, and we all will be able to navigate through our tools a lot sooner or more confidently, because that's one of the things is that we don't feel confident with the tools and we get scared and then we don't use them. And as you could tell, it has a lot of features that will make your life a lot easier or at least keep you a little bit more organized and get all those contacts and have touch points with them. So that has been my ramble, my instructions of the day. You could go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any questions. Let me go see the chat and see if anyone's active on that. Your primary email does not match the domain on your record provided by your admins. Yeah, oh, Sam. So he was most likely referring to the Outlook email. He most likely has his personal domain. You will be able to request an email change from your desk profile. So let's say you're getting that message, then you could reach out to your office admin and they could request an email switch for Trident, but it will have to be done in the back end and usually takes around 12 hours or a little bit longer for that process to be switched. But usually the moment that switch happens in Trident, then you'll be able to go to MoxiEngage and get that connected. So that's going to be one of the process onto that part that Sam was experiencing. So Myra or Isa, we could reach out to them, to him and help him out with that. So let me stop sharing my screen and see if anyone else has any questions. You can raise your hand, unmute yourself. If not, I will stop recording and then.
Oh, sorry.